Previously on Film Feature 43. The first thing I never noticed really was how bad of a person Grandpa Joe really is. The most substantial thing for this video that I noticed is that the Oompa Loompas always seem to know who's going to bite the dust next. That Slugworth shows up at every ticket winner's residence or their parents' factory. Willy Wonka had a agenda behind what he was doing. And I started thinking of another franchise with similar plot to this. I just want to take it a step further. Not only was Willy Wonka trying to offload his crap factory onto some kid, I think he was also trying to teach the other terrible kids a lesson in a Jigsaw-esque trap house where their vices and the traps that they're pulled into pull on what their weaknesses are. I think Wonka used Slugworth and used the Candyman in Charlie's hometown as his disciples, as Jigsaw would call them, to pull this master plan and bring these kids into the Saw factory. All the evidence that I've mentioned up to this point folds in nicely with the fact that this is pretty much a made-for-kids Saw film. So let's talk about a guy who owns a factory filled with these traps that preys on one's vices, and he's seeking out the holiest among us to overcome these traps and become his next disciple. Oh no, I'm not talking about John Kramer. I'm talking about the one and only Willy Wonka. I just mentioned a couple seconds ago that, yes, I believe Slugworth is the disciple of Willy Wonka. Maybe even survived one of his traps before. I mean, he does have a scar running down the side of his face, but I don't think he's the only one in Wonka Town that's doing Wonka's bidding. I think the Candyman from the store, Mr. Musical himself, is also a disciple of Willy Wonka. The candy store owner in Wonkaville is a very strange character. He's out here singing songs completely made up on the spot about Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka makes everything he bakes satisfying and delicious.
Again, maybe that's just the power people in this universe have, because the grandpa's singing the song, the mom's singing the song, very specific to the plot of the film, but the Candyman's singing a song specifically about Willy Wonka, giving out candy bars to Charlie. I know Charlie paid for them. The first one he specifically chose, but the Candyman gave him that second candy bar with the golden ticket without, if you rewatch the film, without Charlie even asking. He says, here, try this one, gives it to him.
I think I'll buy just one more. For my Grandpa Joe.
Sure. Why not try a regular Wonka bar this time?
Fine.
But if you watch the Candyman song, yes, Charlie pays for his candy there during that scene where he finds the golden ticket, but during the Candyman song, the Candyman's throwing out candy like it's a parade, and not one of the kids are paying for that candy.
With lava makes the world taste good.
You might think that maybe it was free candy day, but we see other candy store owners, like the gentleman in China, taking money for the candy as it comes in. I think what the Candyman was doing was the most elaborate stranger in a van with candy type scheme that I've ever seen. Not that I've seen a lot. But I feel like he was scoping out the talent in that town because he knew, being a disciple of Willy Wonka, that he had a golden ticket behind the counter, and he was scoping out the most worthy kid to give that candy bar to. And once the Candymen of the United States who are under Wonka's employ
To find a golden ticket, Daddy.
I know, Angel. We're doing the best we can. I've got every girl on the...
Give me that ticket! Mine! I found a golden ticket!
get the kids into the factory, Wonka has it set up for death traps to prey on each one of their different weaknesses. And if you listen, Wonka tells them, hey, don't do this.
Stop, don't come back.
Gives them kind of directions like Jigsaw. Do this and you'll survive. Don't do this. Stay with me and your son will be safe. He says, hey, don't touch my chocolate river. Hey, don't chew this gum. It's not done yet. And if you listen to him, you survive to go to the next room where you probably won't be tempted again. If you don't listen to him, well, you're gonna die.
Those who don't appreciate life do not deserve life.
He expects each of these kids to fail. It's the factory set up for them to fail. That's why the Oompa Loompas have a song ready at every single stage of the factory. And that's why once they get to the Wonka room, there is just enough coats for Mike TV, his mom, Wonka, Charlie, and his grandfather. Enough human-sized coats for 5 people because he knew that all the rest of the tour-ees were going to be killed. I mean, if we look at the fizzy lifting drink scene, they don't stay in the room. The Oompa Loompas don't stay in the room. Wonka doesn't stay in the room.
Oh, come on, let's try some beans.
No, absolutely not. There'd be children floating around all over the place. Come along now, don't hang about.
Because he doesn't expect Charlie to fail. Yes, this is Charlie's test, but he knows Charlie's a good kid deep down. That's why the Candyman chose him. But he does fail. Why? Because of Charlie's chaperone, Grandpa Joe. Like I said before, Grandpa Joe's a terrible person. If you watch back the film, Charlie doesn't want to drink the drink to begin with. He's going into the next room, and Grandpa Joe talks him into it and almost gets him chopped up into a fan blade.
Let's take a drink, Charlie. Nobody's watching. Yeah. A small one won't hurt us. Whoop. Charlie, you promised a bit. We're in trouble, Charlie. I can't stop.
I think that's why Wonka is actually truly mad at the end of the film. We're supposed to take it as he's this eccentric guy, and he's not really mad. He's just testing Charlie until Charlie puts that gobstopper on his desk and proves that he's not going to sell it.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed and sterilized, so you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
And even there, Grandpa Joe says,
Come on, Charlie. Let's get out of here. I'll get even with him if it's the last thing I ever do. Slugworth wants a gobstopper, he'll get one.
And Charlie this time overcomes the bad influence of his grandfather to do the right thing and give Wonka the gobstopper back so he's not tempted to sell it later. That could give him a lot of money to bring his family out of poverty. And Wonka realizes that his test worked and Charlie was rehabilitated, as Jigsaw would say.
Mr. Wonka?
My boy.
You won. You did it. You did it. I knew you would. I just knew you would.
If a subject survives my method, he or she is instantly rehabilitated.
I know what you're saying. Willy Wonka's not killing anybody. He's not the Jigsaw Killer. He's just luring these kids into these silly traps, and the Oompa Loompas are saving him at the last minute. He's not the Jigsaw Killer. He's not as bad as the Jigsaw Killer. And to that I say, are you sure about that? I mean, we hear the man outside the gate say, no one goes in, no one comes out. Maybe that's more of a threat than just some weird townie spouting out nonsense to scare Charlie. Maybe people literally do not come out of that factory unless they're rehabilitated by Jig Wonka out there on the factory floor. And we even see Wonka say,
Help. Police. Murder.
and we're supposed to take this as a joke, but maybe it isn't a joke. Maybe it is actual murder. Maybe he's kind of Freudian slipping, admitting, hey, yeah, I'm murdering these kids, and there's really nothing you can do about it. They signed the contract at the beginning to go the whole way through the factory, and we're going to keep going. If your kids make the mistake of falling into one of my traps, sorry, I can't really help them. And Wonka is very coy with the outcome of each of these kids after they are gone through their trial. Augustus might end up being turned into fudge. Violet might explode from being a blueberry. Veruca might end up in the furnace. And do you really think that a taffy puller is going to fix 3-inch tall Mike TV and make him into a normal kid again? Probably not. It'll probably rip him in half. These kids are all on a path of destruction fueled by their parents, and Wonka needs an heir to his factory. So what's he do? He makes these jigsaw-like traps to test them to see if there is any way they can be rehabilitated and become his heir to his factory. He already knows kind of who is going to pass the test.
You won! You did it! You did it! I knew you would! I just knew you would!
And even though Charlie almost fails, redeems himself in the end. That's my theory. But if you clicked on this video and saw the title, it says that Willy Wonka is worse than Jigsaw. So what do I mean by that? Well, for starters, not condoning anything Jigsaw does during the Saw movies, but these are kids. These kids haven't really even reached the age of accountability in the eyes of the law yet. The little bratty things that they're doing, like spending too much time on TV, or chewing gum, which isn't really a crime anyway, or being fat, or being rude, aren't really crimes. And yeah, maybe Wonka's trying to catch them before they reach that age of accountability, but their guardians aren't helping either. They're actually enabling.
I serve all his TV dinners right here. He's never even been to the table.
I just knew Augustus would find a golden ticket. Eating is his hobby, you know.
For 5 days now, the entire flipping factory's been on the job.
And Wonka knows this. So he knows that the parents have to change too, or the kids will never change. And throughout the entire Saw franchise, there is a theme of people watching other people suffer. And Wonka does this too, because the only way to change the parents are for them to watch their kids suffer. That's why Wonka doesn't make them sign the contract at the beginning of the movie, only the kids.
Now, will the children kindly step out here?
Accidents? What kind of accidents?
Because he knows nothing's going to happen to the parents. Because he knows that this death trap of a factory is set up specifically to trap the kids and put them through a scenario where if they make it through, they come out the other side as a better person. So in short, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is Saw for kids, and Willy Wonka knows exactly what he's doing the entire time.
You're an inhuman monster!
From the minute that he sends them tickets out, he knows where they're going to end up, to the fact that he is almost certain that Charlie is going to be the one to win the factory, because Charlie's pure at heart. And at the end of the day, that's what the Saw franchise is about too. Whoever has the willpower to make it through their test without falling victim to Jigsaw's death trap is the one who wins out at the end of the day, and becomes Willy Saw's apprentice. So that's my video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Like I said before, if you found this interesting, go check out Film Theory's video on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. There's 2 of them. I'll link them down below. If you like these type of theories, I have a few more in the works for different movies, so let me know if you have a theory about a movie. Let me know if there's a movie you want me to make a theory about. I'll watch it, and I'll try my best to come up with something interesting for you guys. Till then, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.